Today we're going to talk about gravity and how it affects body mechanics. All right, let's get going.
Brickology!
Okay, so today we're going to talk about gravity and how it affects body mechanics. We'll run through this one shot and discuss how to make a simple act of stepping off a bed more realistic. You can then apply this concept to your films to create a more dynamic world. As always, be sure to subscribe to this channel. It'll allow me to bring you more content like this every week. Let's get going. All right, here we are in Dragonframe. Now let's take a look at what I have Ryu doing right now, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so all he's doing is taking a simple step down. Now I've shot 34 frames for this. Here's number 34, and the rest of this yellow is just this last frame repeating. The reason why I didn't need to shoot 34, but I did because I wanted to, exaggerate and overemphasize my point, which is always, for me, I'm trying to make my stop motion as realistic as possible. Realistic in that I'm using the laws of nature, physics, gravity, the weight of him. You want to know that he has some weight to him, and you want to know that when he hits the ground, that he has to deal with how much he weighs. Now let's take a look at this scene again, and we'll start breaking it down. All right, so there's a lot going on here, actually. I'll start right from the beginning. We're going to talk about his setup. We're going to talk about his step down, and then we're talking about what happens after he steps down. And the last thing we're going to talk about is how he compensates for his weight when he comes down and fighting gravity. All right, so those are four things that we're going to get from this little step down that he's doing. The first thing is his setup. Now you'll notice when he starts, again, I'm over-exaggerating everything because I really want you to understand my point or try to get my point across. You'll see him start leaning back and lifting his leg up. Now, granted, we as humans, we probably don't have to do that. A lot of us don't do that. But if we're going to take a step down like this, and you think about it, if we lift our leg all the way up here, which is pretty much to his waist level, right, a lot of us will have to lean back a little to have our center of gravity balanced. So if he just lifted his leg up without, having his upper body do anything, it would be like, okay, some people can do that, sure, but not a lot of people can do that. It's my guess. So as he sets up, he's got to lean back, and his arms have to come forward a little, again, to keep his center of gravity right here in the middle. Okay, so that's one. And then he starts moving forward, and his arms are going to have to lift up a little to, again, the whole idea is to keep his center of gravity right in the middle of here. So here he starts stepping forward, his body starts moving down, and his arms start going up to try to prepare for this fall. I mean, it seems like a step, but look at how high this is. If we were to step down here, we would have to do some compensating for our weight as well. Comes down, he hits the ground. Now, after he hits the ground, this is where it really works with where I'm talking about gravity and I'm talking about his weight. Watch his torso when he hits the ground. Here he hits the ground, his arms start coming down, and his torso also starts coming down. His arms do a little swing this way. If you can see my mouse, his hands are going to do a little swing and come back to center of gravity. So he comes down, his body moves forward a little and does a little circle motion back up. All right, so let's see that again. He steps down, his arms are up, he's got to keep his center, he's got to get his center of gravity back to center as quickly as he can. So he starts moving here. Now he's back in the middle, but it's kind of unrealistic for someone to swing this fast without having to overcompensate a little. So that's what I did. He moves back a little, not too much, but he's got to get his center of gravity here. So he goes forward again, and he goes a little too much, and then finally he finds his center. All right, so let's start from beginning again. He leans back, got to keep his center of gravity, starts stepping forward, and then here's where I shot too many frames for this step down. I can probably take a couple of these frames away, and we'll do that taking a look at this later. But for right now, I wanted you to see, man, I keep hitting the microphone, sorry. I wanted you to see every step. So he hits the ground, his foot's not completely in the stud yet. Now it is, and his body's falling with his foot hitting the ground. Then his arms have got to swing back. His body moves from here, body moves forward a little, moves back because he's overcompensating. His arms have got to start swinging forward, which they do. And he goes too much forward. And then finally he finds his center and he's still. So that's a lot going on in just this little step. Let's take a look at the whole thing again. All right. Now, the thing about gravity is he's going to be falling a lot faster than this. Let's take a look at just this step down in full motion. I mean, that's almost too slow for him to fall because gravity will make your body accelerate. So like I was saying before, we need to take some of these frames out. And luckily for you, I already figured out which frames I want to take out. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I think I can take out this one as well. So now let's take a look at it. Oh, much better. See how his step down is the step where he's falling. That makes a lot more sense. You can feel a little bit more of the weight of his body hitting the ground. Boom. That's a lot better. Okay. Now let me take these all, put these all back so you can take a look at what it looked like before. And you'll see, oh yeah, that was too slow of a step down. See, it's too slow. It's like he's moving slow motion in the air, and that doesn't make any sense. Let's do it again. Okay, so let's take this away. I got all this figured out again. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So let's look at it again. That's a better step down. See? His weight, he's got much faster acceleration as he goes down. Boom. You know, even if you, let's see what it looks like. Take this one away and put this one back. You know, this is a little bit, you know, I usually try to overshoot just a little bit so I can adjust as I go along. But, you know, that just, you know, extends your work time. So, but this is kind of fun to see which one makes it look the best. Well, that one looks pretty good too, because the step down is so fast now. So I kind of like that one too. But I'm going to stick with this. All right, so those are the 4 things that we were talking about. The setup, the step down, hitting the ground, and how to make his body look like it's got weight and the gravity is working against him. And now, just to see what it looks like, because I shot so many frames, let's see what this looks like in 24 frames per second. Now here I'm going to switch to 24 frames per second. Let's see what. Oh, that's pretty good. But still, I think the step down is takes far too long for him to step down, because gravity just doesn't keep you constant. Gravity will pull you down. So let's take those same frames away. And this is still 24 frames per second. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, that's pretty good. See, you can feel that he has weight on him. He's really got to compensate. All right, let's take a look at him stepping down without any of the body motions after he hits the ground. All right. I mean, it works. You know, if I were crunch on time, I would do this because it still works and it gets the point across. And for me, with all my videos, the number one thing that I'm trying to do is, well, yeah, I know I said try to make it realistic, but the story is always number one. So if I'm crunched on time like I do in for my Instagram post where I only have a minute and I don't have the time to make him do all the compensating for his weight and stuff, I would probably do this. But the thing is, it's just not realistic. You know, he hits the ground and look at him. He's leaned over practically 45 degrees and bang, he comes right back up. Who can do that? his body should still go down just a little before he swings back. But here he just goes, super dude. But it works. And for all intents and purposes, I would probably do this in one Instagram film just because of time. But I want to show that to you guys. So there's a huge difference. For more practice on gravity and how it affects your minifigure, look at this video right here on how to fall properly. All right.